Hi guys, just going to let a few more people join before we start, but we hope you're having a good week. It's nice to be back again on a Friday doing lives. We haven't done a live on a Friday in a very long time, so we hope that you've had a really good week and you're looking forward to seeing today's live to finish off your week. So it is going to be a very different live to what we've done. It's all going to be based on sculpting, prosthetic making, and we're going to be joined by a colleague and also my lovely friend Steffi, who is going to be talking us through how you can make your own pieces and how to do the right techniques to get the best results, whether this is going to be for some small prosthetics over Halloween or just a little taster into the sculpting and prosthetic world. So I'll just let a few more people join on, and then I'm going to get Steffi on to introduce her. It's her first live with us today, so it's really exciting to have someone new on the live to be talking you through sculpting and prosthetic making. It's definitely a subject that we've been asked a lot to do. So hopefully for those that are interested, are excited to watch today's live. So hi to everyone that's just joining. We are going to be doing a live on sculpting and prosthetic making. So it's going to be a little taster to what you can do, whether that's going to be for making pieces for Halloween or if you are looking to get into the special effects prosthetic industry. So we'll try and give you as much tips, techniques and information that we possibly can. So I'm just going to see where Steffi is and then we can get started. Bear with me. Here she is. Hello.
Hi everyone.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just going to adjust my camera just so that we can, that's it. Not that you need to see me today. I'm just here to support and ask you any questions. But yeah, how are you? You looking forward to today's live?
Oh, I'm so excited. Super excited to do this, especially the sculpting and talking about different products. Any questions that you guys may have, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have.
Amazing. Yeah, this is something that people ask us every time we do a live. Can we have something on sculpting and prosthetics? So I think there's going to be a lot of questions today. So yeah, as Steffi said, that we'll have support throughout the live as we do every week. Any questions you guys have, send them over to us and we'll answer them the best that we can. So Steffi, for people that haven't met you before, it is your first live with us. Do you want to just introduce yourself, tell them who you are, what you do, and what you're going to be focusing on today?
Yeah, of course. Hi everyone. So I'm Steffi Bergmans. I am one of the special effect makeup artists for Cryline UK. So I do teach the workshops, the special effects workshops here in our UK store in London. And I also I make props, I do more sculpting, I'm specialized more into sculpting. Special effects is something I love and adore. I can do beauty makeup, but I'm definitely more focused completely on special effects. So yeah, I'm super excited.
Amazing. Yeah, Steffi is incredible, guys. If you haven't checked out her work, definitely go and see after the live. She does incredible things. Someone actually just commented that you did a nose for them for their cosplay, Steffi. So you've got
Bless.
some you got some fans on here already. So yeah, I mean, Steffi, you do a mixture, don't you, from small prosthetic pieces to like really big sculptures and props and things like that, don't you? So like material wise, like today, what are you going to be like focusing on mainly? If it's going to be someone that's going to do it like from scratch, what are you going to be going through today?
So when you completely start making prosthetics, it's always best to have reference pictures or a design in your mind. Like even if it's a drawing, it's a picture of a real wound, it's a cosplay character. It's always good to have images with you because you are creating something from scratch. So regarding product-wise, we're definitely going to go over all the little products that we need. I've tried to keep it as minimal as possible, just because it can be overwhelming of all the products that you need.
Yeah.
So first things first is, of course, more like your bathroom tile.
Yeah.
Very basic tile that has got, it can even be like a wooden plank, just something flat that you can sculpt your design on. So if you are going to make like a small prosthetic, it's best to do the small tile. if you are thinking of making a very massive piece, you can buy the bigger ones.
Cool.
You need your sculpting tools, clays, and that's about it, to be honest. Regarding the sculpting, of course.
Yeah, fab. So you are Steffi's actually going to be showing us. So once we've just gone over what we're going to do today, Steffi's actually going to turn the camera and she's going to talk you through step by step of, again, the basics of sculpting and making pieces. If any of you are interested in taking a course with Steffi, we run anything from a 2 to 3 day course in the Krylan store in Covent Garden, London. So if you're UK based, then definitely head over to the website and you can check out all of the dates that is available with Steffi. And of course, if you're not from the UK, always check your local Krylan stores. They always specialise in prosthetic making and sculpting. So if it's something you want to do and you're looking to get into, then definitely have a look at the workshops that we offer. Also as well, Steffi's going to be showing you some small pieces. This could be something that you can incorporate into a Halloween look. We have got Halloween coming up very shortly, so these could be something from a zombie design to something just a little bit more with blood and gore. So these are things that you can implement into some Halloween looks as well. So just while Steffi gets set up, just so that it's all nice and visual for you guys, any questions that you have, please get them forward to us and we will, of course, answer them the best that we can. Anyone that is just joining, we are doing a live today on sculpting and prosthetic making. It is just an introduction and a taster of what you can use if you're going to be doing pieces for Halloween or if you're going to be creating some aesthetic looks. Okay, let's have a look. We've got a few questions here. Okay, so we've got, I would love to make prosthetics, but I'm making my way up to do a HND. So yeah, with these courses that we offer, they are quite intense courses, but they're done in a very short amount of time. So if you don't have the time to dedicate for weeks or months or to a year, these courses are intense. They're 2 to 3 days. But I promise you, I've sat on them myself with Steffi being the tutor, and you learn so much within those few days. So if you can't commit to a long period of time, you will still learn a lot of different tips and techniques how to execute doing sculpting and prosthetics. So Steffi, talk us through what you're going to do first. I'm excited.
So first of all, I'm again going to go over my little setup here. So we've got a little bathroom tile. We have a few basic sculpting tools. Of course, you can go very extreme with it. I think I've got about 80 different sculpting tools, but you can accomplish anything with just your basic sculpting tools.
Yeah.
Also, a black stipple sponge is perfect. And I'm going to be using monster clay to create my prosthetic.
Okay, nice.
So just because I'm going to try and show as much as I can, I've done a little pre-sculpting here, just again so we can save a little bit of time. So what I've done is I've actually built up some clay. I don't know if you can see it, to create kind of like a little mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah? So when you are sculpting something, it's, especially if you're creating wounds, laceration, anything that has got depth, we actually have to build more clay up to give the illusion that there's depth. That's why it's important. For example, this one, I've just sculpted as well, just a little bit earlier.
Nice.
So you actually have to build up clay to kind of create all of that depth, to create like a wound.
Yeah. Amazing. Looks so cool. And what would be your what's your preference with the clay? Like, why is monster clay one that you would go to more than like another type?
Oh, I love monster clay because it's just easy to work with. I'll show you as well. It's super easy to work with. I can get really nice details on it. It's an oil-based clay, so it doesn't dry out.
Yeah.
So this pot here, it will last you for years because you can just scrape off the clay and just reuse it again.
Yeah. And that's the soft, is it, that one? Because you've got 3 different densities, right? You've got soft, medium and hard.
Yeah, the hard one, I love to use, but I have to put in a slow cooker because I
Oh, yeah.
can't. Yeah, I can't work with it. It's very strong and very hard. So
Mhm.
just for the demonstration now, I'm just using the soft one, just because you can just easily warm it up in your fingers.
Mhm.
All right. So let's begin here as well. So as I said, I've just applied these. They are just pieces of clay that I've applied. What I've done is just with my stipple sponge, I've just been kind of scratching over it.
Mhm.
What that will do is it will get rid of all the tool marks that you've used.
Yeah.
Just softly gonna go over there.
Okay. And does that help as well to give like more of a, because what is it that you're going to be creating? What's going to be kind of the end goal with this piece?
So this piece, I do have a reference picture over there. I
Yeah.
don't know if I can show. It's a real wound. It's an open little cut here.
Okay. Yeah, nice open cut. And then is that gonna, with the sponge itself, is that gonna give like a skin texture then to imitate the realness of the kind of core
Yeah.
skin?
Yeah, it does give a bit of a texture. I don't know how good you can see it on the camera.
Mhm. Yeah, I
It
can
does
see.
have little, yeah, scratches on there. So it's really to make sure that everything blends in nicely. Um, and it does create little scratches on there. So it's not just a lump of clay, because with sculpting, you actually have to recreate a skin texture. It needs to look invisible as a
Yeah.
prosthetic. So what I'll do is I've actually run a piece here that you can see. So this is one of the prosthetics that I've just run so you guys can see it.
Oh.
So this one as well, it's all been sculpted first in clay. So all the little details. So once you actually apply this on the skin, blend off the edges and kind of color match it to the skin, um, that will look like it's part of your own.
Yeah, that's cool. And that could go for anything, like a wound. It even looks like, you know, if you used to have like a zombie attack and you've been like bitten or
Yeah.
the skin's kind of like decaying, that could kind of be universal, right? A wound like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's the thing. It's with just with sculpting as well. You can create about anything.
Yeah.
So just now with these are more really your wounds. So they're amazing for Halloween for
Hmm.
like your zombie looks, rotten flesh.
Hmm.
If you've been beaten up, but you can also sculpt horns with this technique as well. So
Okay.
even if you want to do like a fantasy makeup, you can just sculpt horns instead.
Okay, cool. So like a devil kind of look or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, cool.
yeah. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is, once I've got my base down, I'm actually gonna make the wound, so the inside of the wound. So I'm just using a simple sculpting tool here. So it's just got a little edge here. And what I'm gonna do is, I'm actually gonna mark that. And we're gonna take some clay out.
Yeah, it's quite easy to work with, right? It's not too tough at all.
No, it's actually quite nice and soft to work with.
Mm. We just had one question. So with the monster clay, what would be the difference between using this and a plasticine base? So more of kind of like a plastic base clay.
Oh, the only thing that you have to be careful of is that it needs to be sulfur free.
Okay.
Your clays that you're using. So you've got even Roma clay.
Hmm.
Um, you can buy those, but it's got sulfur in there. The reason why I'm saying don't buy anything or use clay that's got sulfur in there is when you later on want to mold these, your silicon is not going to cure because silicon is sensitive to the sulfur in there.
Yeah.
So I would still, suggest to use Chavant clay, Monster clay. Those are going to be the best ones to actually work with.
Yeah, nice. Okay. That's good to know. It looks effective already, and you've only literally just taken out a piece.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's you want to create depth, so you actually have to create height first,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, it does.
So So I'm just gonna make it a bit more dramatic. So I'm gonna lift up those edges a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that gives you the illusion more again of that depth and the height of the side, so you can make that real kind of deep wound.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can go all the way down to the tile because that's just going to be your own skin. So I'm going to take a little bit more out.
So we've got
Oh,
quite
stop.
a few new people joining. So welcome, guys. We've literally just started, so you haven't missed too much. We do also save these lives, so for anyone that wants to watch it back from the beginning, or also if you want to watch without comments as well, you can do that afterwards. But we are doing sculpting today and small prosthetic making. So this is going to be a taster into what you can do with sculpting and prosthetics, whether you're going to use it for your SFX looks or especially if you want to make some pieces for the upcoming Halloween. So yeah, you can always do some zombie effects. Steffi just said you can also sculpt things like horns, you can make like full kind of facial pieces. So we're going to give you as much information as possible today with the tips and techniques with the products that Steffi's using.
Let me show a little bit.
That's so cool.
So I'm actually, is that a little bit better if I put it higher up?
Yeah, that works nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. So I'm not doing anything spectacular here. What I'm just doing is just creating that depth, and I'm going to try and make the inside a bit more flashy like. So what I'm doing is, this is going to be my deepest point here where the tile is.
Nice. We just had a question. What are you using? So currently Steffi's using the Monster Clay. She'll show you that again in a moment in the packaging, but it comes in 3 different hardnesses. You've got soft, medium and hard. Steffi's currently using the soft just because with the medium and a harder one you would need a slow cooker just to soften them up a little bit to work with. So the soft's quite a good one for, I'd say, beginners. Would you agree, Steffi? Like
Yeah,
yeah,
I would agree. A soft one is easy to work with. You don't need a soft cooker or like a microwave or anything. The soft one you can just straight away work with and build up your prosthetic. But yeah, I'll show the Monster Clay again here. So it was this one that I'm using.
Yeah. And there's loads in there, right? You said it lasts forever.
Oh, it lasts for ages. Here we go. So I do like the depth of it and the gooiness inside of there. So what I'm going to do is just again with my stipple sponge, I'm just going to scratch over there because I don't know if you can see it. I've got a bit of tool marks there. So we do want to get rid of those. So just with my stipple sponge, I'm just going to go over there. And with sculpting as well, it's the wound itself it's not the hardest to sculpt. It's more the surrounding here that's the hardest. Because you have to think of the bathroom tile is going to be your skin, and the clay will be replaced by silicone. So do you see that little edge there? Once you apply it on the skin, that needs to give a seamless transition between the prosthetic and your skin.
Yeah.
So that is actually one of the hardest things to kind of sculpt, is making sure that this feels just smooth and blending into that bathroom tile.
Yeah, because you want the height for the wound, but you also need that edge to be like super sort of transitioned into that tile so that it's nice and smooth. So yeah, I can imagine that's definitely the most time consuming part.
Oh yeah, definitely is. Yeah, it's always good to spend some extra time on it, just because if you leave an edge here a little bit too high up, and then you apply the prosthetic piece, you can see the silicone lifting up. So it's best to just spend a little bit more time on that surrounding here.
Yeah. Have you started making anything for Halloween? Have you done a project for it, or are you kind of
Oh, I've been making loads of prosthetics for people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've had people asking for slit throats, for um, joker pieces,
Mm-hmm.
burn wounds. It's one of the busiest time of the years for us, to be honest, as special
Yeah,
effect makeup artists.
absolutely. And it's getting bigger and bigger every year. Like in the UK, it wasn't such a big thing, but I'd say the last sort of like 5 years, it's like really popular now. So everyone is looking for bigger, bolder, more realistic makeup effects. So I think when it comes to that realism, this is when you're sculpting and running and making your own pieces will, be the most effective, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to find, if you do have a design in your mind, it's sometimes hard to find them, in a store. So
Yeah.
if you, it's quite nice then to kind of make your own pieces and um, just not having to purchase it, but making it yourself so you can kind of just adjust it the way that you like it.
Yeah, and you can customize, right? So what you're doing at the moment is known as flat molds, right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, yes,
So
flat molds.
it's something that's going to be generic to go on anyone, right? You don't have to do a life cast. You don't have to take measurements of the anatomy of the face or the body. It's something you can
Mm.
do for anyone, right?
Yes, yes. So that's the case with flat molds. It's amazing to put on everyone.
Yeah,
Of course, it's great if you've got measurements, specifically if someone does want to have flat molds made for them.
yeah,
But these, for example, these basic ones, they can fit on anyone, to be honest.
yeah.
And I will do some skin texture as well in a second. I'm definitely just going to do a very universal skin texture.
Hmm.
Here we go. So I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do now is you can still see all of that sculpting bits in there, the sculpting lines. So
Yeah,
the little trick is good old lyser fluid.
yeah.
What the lyser fluid will do is it will kind of dissolve the clay
Hmm.
and it will give this really nice smooth texture. So I'm just going to apply this on the inside of the wound. I don't want this on my skin texture bit just because it's then too oily for me to create skin texture on top of.
Hmm.
But what I'm doing is just a tiny bit, a few drops of that lyser fluid in there and just a normal Q-tip. And we're just going to soften it up completely.
Cool. And then can you just repeat that again? So what is the nature of using a lighter fluid? Like what is that going to help you achieve? Smoother surfaces, did you say?
Yes, yes. So the lyser fluid, it doesn't really, I'm not going to say it's going to dissolve.
Hmm.
It's slightly thinning it.
Okay, so kind of like a solvent, but not to like an extremity that it's, too it doesn't break it down too much. It just literally
Yeah,
like smooths over the surface.
yes.
Cool.
And I just want that just on that inside. You see how it gives that wet look? Like a little bit of a wound?
Like glossy, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more questions. I'm going to just fire them at you as well while you're doing that. So we
Yeah,
have
of course.
okay, so do you prefer working with encapsulated silicones or Bondo transfers? Like, what's your views on those?
Ooh, I love that question. I prefer. It depends on the situation. If I'm on set and I need to make sure the piece stays on for 8, 9 hours, and the actress, for example, needs to go into the shower, I
Yeah,
would prefer pro bondo pieces.
right, okay.
They will save me time as well on set. You apply them, you seal it, paint it, and it will stay on there for the rest of the day.
Hmm.
But of course, Pro Bondo's got its limitations of how big you can go with it.
Yeah,
So if I do have a bigger piece, I would prefer to do silicone prosthetics, like encapsulated.
yeah, it's because would you say it kind of goes with the contours a little bit more? It's easier to sort of place on, right? Because I guess
Yeah,
like for those that don't know what a pro bondo piece is, it's kind of like a tattoo transfer in a way, isn't it? So
yeah.
you're kind of limited to how much you can kind of work around with it. But I guess when, like you said, when it comes to time and stuff and materials, it's quite a quick, straightforward thing to put on instantly, isn't it? It's kind of like an instant effect.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's more case of Probando will take longer to dry in the workshop,
Yes.
so it would take about 2-3 days.
Yeah.
But then on set, it's going to be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
While silicone prosthetic piece, it takes about an hour to run one of these,
Yeah.
the actual prosthetic. But then on set, it could be that it will take you 2 hours to apply it and
Yeah.
blend the edges, paint it like the skin color. So it's a bit, again, it depends on the situation.
Yeah. And what would you say, like quality wise, for like detail? Would you say that using an encapsulated silicone piece is going to be more kind of realistic and detailed, or are they the same? Does it not really kind of matter?
I would say they are the same.
Mm.
I feel that Pro Bundle pieces are a bit more seamless
Okay.
because you stick it on and it
Yeah.
stays on there and you can just paint it. With these, if you do have a bad edge, for example, or you've got an air pocket underneath there,
Hmm.
then it's going to be more visible and then it's going to take you more time to apply it.
Okay. Cool. Nice.
Okay. So I've done the inside here. So I'm gonna just go over with my stipple sponge.
Yeah. So far for anyone again that's just joining, you've basically used your tile, which is going to be your flat mold kind of area to build on. You've used monster clay to build up the wound, and then you've used your sculpting tools just to kind of add in that depth and texture, and then a little bit of that lighter fluid just to give it a little bit of a gloss finish to it.
There we go. So I'm gonna lift up the edge just slightly more. Here we go. So I would say this one is more like an open wound.
Yeah.
You can of course make it more dramatic with lifting your edges up a little bit more. That's what I'm doing right now, just slightly. Here. Putting some clay underneath there.
What was your favourite project to work on? Like, what's your favourite thing that you've done?
Ooh. Um, it was Dumbledore. I
Yeah.
had to create Dumbledore for someone in Italy. She's got a fantasy shop, and
Amazing.
she wanted to make me ask me to do a life-size bust of Dumbledore, and I've spent I think 3 weeks sculpting him.
Wow.
I couldn't let go.
Yeah.
I couldn't let it go.
I know what your Steffi is like the most perfectionist when it comes to her work. Like she'll sit there for hours and hours and she'll perfect things and go back. So yeah, I believe that it took you that time to do that.
That's the thing. It's with these. It's you don't have to. You can create small volume here. There's no rules. You don't have to follow anything, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah.
With creating a person, it needs to be correct. Something that looks odd, like for example, the nose is not right or the
Mm-hmm.
measurements are not great. You can tell. You can tell that something's not right.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the hardest things I've worked on, but also the one that has pushed me the most as a sculptor.
Yeah. I guess it's rewarding because you probably like learnt things as you was going. As much as you knew already what you was doing, you can only always improve, right? Because you'll do something you think, right, that didn't work, so this is going to push me to go down another avenue. And that's the amazing thing about special effects and prosthetic work and sculpting. It's kind of a bit, you are more free spirited with it, but it also really does test your ability to keep learning something different and working down different avenues, right, to get different results.
Yeah, it's constantly observing and yeah, sculpting is it's amazing. I just love it. I could spend hours a day sculpting. even on this, now I need to let go because we have to do the mold as well.
Move on, Steffi.
I know.
No, you're fine. I think everyone is enjoying it. It's therapeutic to watch as well. It's really enjoyable to just sit and watch the progression, because it's literally all it starts as is a piece of clay, and then all of a sudden it's natural piece. Like, it's incredible how you can turn something from nothing into something so realistic.
Yeah, and that's just the fun part of it. It's yeah, just some clay, and you can tell I've just used very basic tools here. I
Mm.
didn't use 50 different things.
Yeah.
So this is easily something you can do at home. And it's all about practice as well. It's just constantly practice and researching, looking at wounds, for example, even for Halloween. If you want to create something, just have some good images and just try and recreate it in clay.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, especially with Halloween, people do get really stuck of what to create and what to do different. But I think we can all agree a zombie will always forever be a go-to character, especially with like Walking Dead. It's such a
Oh
popular
yeah.
series. I'm sure that everyone will always opt for a form of a zombie because it's just cool to do, and especially when you're doing sculpting and prosthetic pieces, you can build up things like the cheekbones. You can literally have pieces of skin like hanging off. Um, you can really transform the actual anatomy of the face, can't you, when you're doing things like this?
Yeah, that's you can completely change. I actually have, let me show you. I actually have a flat mold here. It's got a bit of cap plastic on there. These are actually old age pieces.
Oh, cool.
So you can even use these for zombie as well. They do have an enlarged cheekbone as well, a bit more wrinkles. So it's not just wounds. It's like Leanne said as well. It's you can create cheekbones, a bigger forehead.
Mm-hmm.
You can go, yeah, completely use your imagination.
Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna let it go now. I'm gonna do a quick demo
Yeah.
of how to do some quick skin texture. I'm going to keep it very generic, of course, because it's a generic piece. I want to make sure it kind of fits on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use just some translucent powder. And I'm just going to use fluffy brush. And what this will do is my tools are not going to drag into the clay that much.
So it kind of offers like a protective layer.
Yes, just a bit of powder. Here we go. And I'm going to use just some cling film.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna pop it on there. Again, you can use your stipple sponge. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna press down onto the skin of the prosthetic.
Mm-hmm.
What this will do, the stipple sponge, is not only great for scratches, but it also gives me a slight skin texture. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, like pores.
A little bit like pores.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go all the way around here.
And the reason for why you're using the cling film is that so that you don't make a obvious impression, like it looks a little bit more realistic and natural because it's not so kind of printed.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So the cling film is kind of giving me a little bit of a barrier.
Okay.
Because if I wouldn't use the cling film, it would still work, to be honest, but I do prefer to have more of a softer finish.
Yeah, it definitely looks more natural. Okay, so I've got another question to fire over to you. So the question is, what is the most commonly used application types for movie sets?
That would be encapsulated silicone prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most used just because silicone looks, feels, and moves like skin.
Yeah.
Before that, before silicone, it was more latex, foam latex, which is
Yeah.
still used. It's still lightweight. It's great for bigger pieces.
Hmm.
But silicone has really made it visually better
Yeah.
for creating wounds and prosthetics.
Yeah.
Even still pro bundle pieces, they're really good for small pieces.
Hmm.
Very easy on sets if the director all of a sudden says, I do want to have a scratch there, or I do want to have a black eye there, then it's
Hmm.
great to have those ready, and they just stick on painting and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
I
I
would
guess
say,
the most difficult thing now, right, is working under like a high resolution camera because edges, the realistic like finish of the like the skin, and like you said, it's the most closest thing to like natural skin. I guess if you was working with like a latex or a foam latex, you'll see straight away. It's obvious. Like if you look back at films from 80s back, you go, oh my god, like what have they used
yes.
to create that? It's like rubber mask.
No, it's true. Every time I watch a classic horror movie, I'm like, oof, okay.
Yeah.
Back then it was amazing. But
Yeah.
now we've got so much pressure
Yeah.
of making something seamless on camera. And it's really down to creating every single little pore, every little fine line, every
Yeah.
wrinkle, um, even coloring it. It it's fun, to be honest. It's a challenge. Of course, it's horrible if you see an edge on screen,
Mm.
but because at the end of the day, you're still applying something non-organic on like an organic, and
Yeah,
there's
I
still
get it.
movement of that person, and the piece need to move along with it. Okay, so what I'm doing now is just got this little. They're one of those nail tools.
Yeah. I think they're called, or is it an orange stick? I think they're
I
called
think,
something
yeah,
like
I
that.
think it's an orange stick. So I've just done the pores a little bit with the black stipple sponge, and what I'm doing now is just with the cling film, I'm actually just gonna make little X's. So left, right, left, right. Why I'm doing this is if you look at your own hand, if you look up close, you can see all these little fine lines going
Yeah.
into an X. Sometimes you can see a bit more of the pores, but it depends on what area of the body or the face that you're looking at. For example, nose area, the pores are much bigger there than they are on arms.
Yeah.
So
Do you
that's
know what?
why
I've
I'm.
never actually considered that. I've never looked and thought, yeah, like you think of pores, you think of the finish of the skin, but you never look at those really like, and you think veins and all the rest of it. But yeah, like the really kind of little lines that you have on the texture of the skin. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, it's more a case of you're creating a realistic prosthetic, and
Mm.
you can't leave it untextured because silicone does have, if it's too smooth, it looks quite glossy, and it's too perfect looking. And our skin is
Yeah.
it's not perfect. It's got pores and the fine lines, so you do
Hmm.
want to create some sort of texture in there.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going now full out with the skin texture. Um, this is, as I said, it's a detail.
Yeah.
Here we go.
How long realistically, if you was doing something for, like what you're doing now, and you was doing it for either just a Halloween makeup, something that doesn't have to be too specific, to doing something for film and TV, like how long would you say you would take on doing something like that?
For